1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 23, our first podcast being recorded in the new year. So the one that actually went out today was actually recorded on the 26th. But we are here, we are in 2021, and it's cloudy out.
Indeed, it's it's an absolutely miserable day here in England. It's been raining a heck load. It snowed for all of about 3 minutes, and now it's just disgusting.
You know, it's been raining pretty much constantly since yesterday too. So
yeah,
start as
what
you
a
mean
great
to go
start
on.
to 2021.
Oh my god.
I was on Facebook for the first time in years the other day.
Oh.
And I was scrolling down through like just stuff that people had been doing recently, and chill chaos. I saw a post from them, and it was just like, I miss 2020, and I'm like, really?
Already?
No one is saying that.
Yeah.
And there were no replies to his comment and no likes or anything.
Yeah, there really wasn't. I mean, we talked about
Wait,
this.
did I say chilled chaos?
Yeah, you said chilled chaos.
I meant added chaos. Sorry, Chilled chaos is a YouTuber.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think we talked about this in the 20th podcast when we were talking about 2020. But I think neither of us had a particularly horrible year, especially compared to a lot of people. But
no, I think
definitely wasn't a good year. Like, there were good things about it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say there were good things about it, but I wouldn't classify it as a good year.
No, we're online social, so it doesn't really affect us. Our social lives, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some people I haven't seen in person.
Yeah. God, now I made that mistake with the whole chaos thing. I was watching back our last episodes on it was a few days ago now, and when we were discussing Lord of the Rings, every single time I said Sauron instead of Saruman, I think.
Wait,
repeatedly got it wrong.
Which one's which?
So
is Sauron the guy who pissed off the trees?
Okay, Sauron is the Eye of Sauron, the flaming eyeball that used to belong to the Dark Lord Sauron.
Right, and Saruman is the dude that kicks the shit out of Gandalf and then pisses off the trees.
Yeah, he's the White Wizard.
Okay.
He made the Uruk-hai. Anyway, that really irked me when I was listening back to it. I was like, I did it again. Oh no.
Oh, there's going to be some Lord of the Rings fan out there who's just frothing at the mouth listening to that episode.
Well, that's the thing, I was frothing at the mouth, and I'm the one that fucking said it.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
So we've already, we haven't even introduced the topics yet. We did have a couple topics, which you very helpfully thought up this morning. The one the one I actually want to start with is the second one that you thought up, actually, the product placement.
Okay. Yeah. I've already forgotten them.
Yeah, well, that's good. I wrote them down. Product placement, it's particularly, like, in my mind, just thinking of ways it's been done well and ways it's been done poorly. Like, there's the classic stereotype if you're watching a movie and there's a scene in a restaurant and it's like a long shot and then somebody just unsubtly puts a Pepsi down right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the scene.
Ah, delicious Pepsi Max.
And then they get back to the plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like the stereotypical example of it being done very blatantly and, in my opinion, very poorly and lazily. But I think it has been done well before. Like,
well, I mean, even if you do it well, there's still times where you can overdo it. Like, okay, the two films I have always thought are the most absolutely drenched in product placement are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The movie?
Yes.
Like the live action one?
Yes.
I'm trying to think back.
So blatant. they're just so much.
I haven't seen it in years. What's the bits you're talking about?
Like the pizza adverts, obviously. There's like
was
giant
it like
billboards.
specific like branded pizza and stuff?
Yeah, they like it's like a Domino's pizza or something stupid. And the other major movie that has lots of product placement, Jurassic World, is it called?
I have not seen it.
I
haven't seen any of the new ones.
I mean, in my opinion, the only Jurassic Park is the first Jurassic Park. This one with what's his name? The guy that's super popular for a long while. The guy
Chris
who was
Pratt.
in Passengers.
Yeah.
It is Chris Pratt. Okay.
Yeah.
Him. Yeah, there's tons of like shops and things in this Jurassic World where every time you go past like the main area where the people are, there's just brand after brand after brand. Yeah. But then, sorry, I've been talking for a while, but I'll just finish it with the last thing. Equally, when you get films like James Bond,
Yeah.
they do quite a bit of product placement, but it tends to be for like expensive suits, watches,
Aston Martin.
cars. I think they do that quite well. I mean,
Well, yeah.
it's often quite obvious, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be
It's obvious, but it doesn't take you out of the movie.
exactly. It's meant to be there in the world.
Like, I think Skyfall, like, they were heavily sponsored. The James Bond movie Skyfall was heavily sponsored by Macallan Scotch whiskey. And there's quite a few things where they're drinking that in the show, and there's a very poignant scene with the villain that involves a 25-year-old Macallan bottle.
Right.
Anyway, so that, for reference, the non-Scotch drinkers out there, that bottle costs a few $1,000s, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, like you said, quite expensive brands. But
Well, that's just the bottle, not the stuff inside of it.
yeah, exactly. That's after the scotch has already been drank. No, the other movie I was thinking of that, again, it's not necessarily that subtle. I mean, the movie in general isn't that subtle, so maybe this is just subtle by comparison. But in the very first live-action Transformers movie that came back out in like the mid-2000s,
Yeah.
that one, if you watch it, every single one of the Autobots is a Chevy of some variety, or
Yeah.
and it's clear that because they have like
Well, except
close-
from Octopus.
oh yeah, because he's a truck. But I think that even the truck that they use is one that's manufactured by General Motors, which Chevy is a part of, I'm pretty sure.
Jazz isn't, is he?
I don't know. I remember watching it at the time and thinking, like, I mean, obviously you have Bumblebee, who is one of the big characters.
Yeah, he's
and,
the iconic one in the whole film. Yeah.
and he's a Chevy Camaro. But
Very nice looking car.
yeah, it is a very nice looking car. Oh man, but yeah, so that one, maybe it's not terribly subtle, but it doesn't take you out of the movie.
Yeah. Mind you, when it came to Transformers, I always preferred the Decepticons' vehicles are always cooler.
They really were, like, even...
He had a goddamn Black Hawk, that's like so cool.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of they had kind of the cooler vehicles even in the original animated series. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Megatron turned into like a pistol that fired like a cannon. You know, they had
Starscream was a jet.
Yep. You had how was it? I can't remember. He could turn into a train and a rocket ship. That guy was pretty cool.
Yeah.
They had Devastator.
I mean, both at the same time, really.
Yeah, they had Devastator, the construction robots that could all combine together into this giant, like, behemoth.
There was an Autobot equivalent though of that, wasn't there?
But not until like
remember
later
what
in the series.
Okay.
His name was he was made out of a bunch of planes. Like, eventually the Autobots got some jets too,
Yeah.
and they could turn into something. But at the same time, the Decepticons got another new one where the guy's name was Bruticus, I think, and he like was a bunch of military vehicles, so like tanks and helicopters and
I think he's actually in the live action.
he may have been, actually. Yeah, they did bring back a lot of the originals for that. I don't want to get off on the weeds and Transformers.
Yes,
but,
sorry.
I'm thinking of like to move it away from like movies. You do get it in video games too, like quite a bit. I remember I never played this game, but I remember hearing about it. It was called like Bionic Commando or something like that, and it was a remake of like a old 8-bit like side scroller game, but it was done in 3D and you had a hook shot and everything. If I remember right, I think the entire world was just plastered with advertisements for Pepsi, and it was supposed to be a post-apocalypse, but all of the Pepsi billboards and ads were pristine. So it just, I want to say it was that game, so might not have been, but that's
looking at there's like, so from the screenshots I'm looking at, there's a bunch of like drinks machines on the levels, and billboards. Now I'm seeing them. Yeah, it's like a horrible, dingy, like imagine some kind of Siberian railway tunnel, and then there's just a big billboard with Pepsi on the side.
I mean, so, like that's an example in video games of it being handled pretty poorly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terribly out of place. Like, a drinks machine would be in this office, but it's only Pepsi. I'm seeing.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to get your read on like, because Fortnite is an example of like a live service game. Oh, excuse me, where they actually have they've done advertising things, like when the Avengers movies came to an end and they were doing Endgame and Infinity War, they released like a Thanos skin in the game, and that was like a cross promotion.
Oh yeah,
with Marvel.
there's like every kind of what's the word, universe is in Fortnite now. There's so many, there's Star Wars and everything.
Yeah, but I almost feel like that's not too bad, because those aren't story-based games. They're a battle royale. You're fighting with a team against like a bunch of other people, and if you want to release a skin to promote the movie, like, and give it out for free in game, and the players don't mind because, hey, I get a cool free skin, and the movie gets promotion, and Fortnite gets paid. Like,
yeah,
I think I don't have as much of a, even though that one is very blatant and very obvious, I don't really think that's something that I can't see myself having too much of a problem with it.
I kind of lose a little bit of respect for just anyone that associates with Fortnite.
Well, yeah, I use Fortnite as an obvious example, but I'm sure there are other live service games out there where they've done similar things.
The perfect game to do it with, though, because if they did it on a game like let's say Rainbow, right? Rainbow Six Siege, and you have suddenly like, I don't know, John Wick in Rainbow Six. Actually, John Wick would be actually
John Wick would be a fucking awesome
Siege.
Character in Rainbow Six.
But my point is, if you put like a crazy character into a game that has a modicum of seriousness and like, it really detracts from the game itself more than it puts in.
I use that, like, that's an example because Fortnite is a lot more cartoonish.
Exactly, but you can get away with this stuff.
But I think that's why I say it's like one. You could probably get away with it a little bit in Rainbow Six if you were if it was a little bit more subdued. So obviously you're not running around playing as some kind of a superhero, but if not necessarily a promotional skin, well, you get like a branded skin, or
I mean, you've seen the goddamn the pizza skin annoyed me so much.
The what?
Have you not seen the Rainbow Six pizza skin?
I don't think I've seen the Rainbow Six pizza skin.
Oh my god, right, you waffling us in your bloody picture. It made me so angry.
Oh my
Jake
god.
loved it.
Well, I think that's the thing. You're right, though. That game has a much more serious tone. The game we're talking about, by the way, Rainbow Six Siege, is a kind of it's an arena shooter kind of game where one team is playing a defensive objective and the other team is trying to, be on offense and take that objective. So the defensive team, they have 4 specialized characters who, oh my god, that's the stupidest thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
Do you see? It annoys me.
Okay.
So much.
It's literally a skin for a character in this game called Pepperoni Cheese, and he's got what looks like a pastry on his head with a
It's a
crown.
pizza slice, yeah.
Is it? It doesn't look like a slice. I mean, it looks like a pizza slice that somebody rolled up into a ball and then sat on. But
Well, it's because of the angle. Hang on, let me.
yeah. Anyway, so to finish the description of the game, you have these two teams going against each other. One team's on offense and is specialized for breaking in. The other team is on defense and they're specialized into like creating defenses and traps within the area to protect the objective. Okay, that is a different angle. Oh my god! And even the gun has pepperoni on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that is so stupid.
just
Of course, it would be
disgusting.
that character too. Oh my
Yeah.
god! I mean, all right, moving on. Like, can you think of any other? I I think these with games. Well, you know what? Let's to summarize. I think with when it comes to games, I think that the advertisements are much more acceptable and much more suited to being in these live service type games. When they're in
Yeah, I
single
mean,
player, like you really need to handle them like in a certain way so that they don't become like jarring and annoying to the players.
hmm. As a couple of quick small examples,
Hmm.
there's you know Crash Bandicoot, right?
Yeah.
So they dropped hints and like a little bit of light advertisement in the Crash Bandicoot games for Spyro,
Yeah.
and equally in Spyro you get the same thing. But yeah, like on one of the first levels in Crash, I think in one of the games, I'm not sure which. There's like an inflatable Spyro balloon in the background. Um, and the other game I've been playing literally today, well, I don't know, is it really advertisement? It's kind of self-advertisement, I suppose.
Well,
But yeah, it depends what your take is on self-advertisement.
because
I've been playing Doom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of like small things that you can advertisements kind of thing that you get in there, which is the collectible toys that you find around the place,
Yeah, those are kind of oddly
which are
cute in a game like that.
awesome, yeah. Because you just know if they, and they, I don't know if they have or not, if they produce them as actual like models,
Oh yeah, people would buy
people
the
would
hell
eat
out
that
of
shit
them.
up.
Oh yeah.
And I'm totally fine with that because they're cool, and
Yeah.
you know. And the other thing is they kind of advertise their old games, so you get like the secret hidden levels. I remember they did in 2016 one anyway. I don't know if they did in this one, where you like go into areas where it's like suddenly all the walls are made of pixels and the enemies are shooting at you.
Yep.
Um,
Well,
which is again another very cool way of doing it.
they a lot of publishers will do that, like referencing their old games. Though Cyberpunk does that. Like, I think if you pre-ordered the game or something, there was certain, or I think if you own The Witcher 3, that's what it was. Then in
Right.
the game, I'm guessing because I did pre-order it, and I also own a copy of The Witcher 3, so I'm not sure which one of these did it. But you can get a like a Witcher branded like leather jacket in the game, and you just get it
Okay.
automatically. It's obviously doesn't, Cyberpunk is set in the far future, whereas The Witcher is set in medieval Poland. So slightly different locations, but they I mean they're referencing their own games, and I find those little Easter eggs. See, that's we're going from advertising territory into Easter egg territory now.
Hmm. Well,
Uh,
actually, okay. Ironically, okay. I just realised that Rainbow Six does actually have a character taken from another game.
Oh,
It has Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell in Rainbow Six Siege.
oh, is it a skin or is it a character?
It's an actual character. I think it's the latest character.
Oh, well, I mean,
Um,
I think that the game's it's also owned by Ubisoft, so it makes sense.
I guess so. But yeah, I bet most people these days wouldn't really even know who that is because I didn't even play Splinter Cell as a kid, but I
Damn
knew
it, Fisher!
It.
Fucking love that game.
Yeah, very iconic look to him.
A little side tangent here to tell a little story about Splinter Cell. The only Splinter Cell I played to any, or Splinter Cell game I played to any significant extent was Splinter Cell Chaos Theory for the original Xbox, and my friend and I used to play it on co-op all the time, and we must have played like each level like a million times over, and we just fail the level in the funniest. There were so many funny ways you could fuck things up, and so like one of them, we had to go in. I think it was in Panama. We had to. It was the president of some company or something like that, or it was a politician or something. I don't remember the actual mission. Excuse me, but you had to sneak into his villa, get past his guards or like subdue them, and then take him down non-lethally, so either a tranquilizer dart or choke him out, and then take him out of the building and load him in a van. Now we discovered a little. If you killed him, or if he discovered you, there were a lot of ways you could finish the mission and fail it. And if you did that, your guy over the radio would just go like, "Damn it, Fisher, we needed him alive." And I must have heard that line so many times on that level, because the last and the funniest one, because the game original Xbox, there were some glitches here and there. We loaded him into the elevator because we were going to go down, and you're supposed to like you can just carry him and get in the elevator, but we just put him on the floor and just to see what would happen. We hit the elevator button, and his body started ragdolling and bouncing off the elevator walls, and it killed him.
Oh, jeez.
Because the physics fucked up inside the elevator.
Yeah, just not used to having it.
So just a little tangent there. We're talking about Rainbow Six.
I mean, I can go further into this tangent right now.
But okay, go ahead. But I do want to just no, we already summarized. What were you gonna say?
Netflix and Ubisoft's first project together is an animated adaptation of the gaming publisher's Splinter Cell series. The company announced today.
What?
There's gonna be a Splinter Cell Netflix adaptation.
And it's going to be animated.
Apparently.
I wonder what style of animation they're going. Are they going to go with like the gritty, realistic kind of animation, or are they going to go anime animation?
Streamer has ordered 2 seasons from the get-go for a total of 16 episodes. Same person that wrote John Wick.
Oh. That might actually be pretty cool then.
Based on Tom Clancy's book series, follows former Navy SEAL Sam Fisher. That could be really, really cool, or it could be total flop, and it's going to annoy a lot of people if it's a flop.
That describes every Netflix series. It's either really good or a complete flop.
I mean, I'd say most Netflix, more often than not, they're on the popular side rather than the flop side. But this is something with history to it. Like, quite often Netflix comes up with new and crazy ideas. This is not a new idea. It's got like prestige to it.
Well, I'm thinking back to their Witcher series was also not an original idea. It was based on the books and the games and everything. And well, actually, it was based on the books. The games kind of went their own way because they take place after the books. But it was pretty good. It had some flaws in the first season, some things that annoyed me having read the books, some story changes that were like, why did you even do that? You just made the story worse.
Having not read the books myself, I didn't see those issues.
Yeah.
Apparently, Netflix announced in January that The Witcher was watched by 76 million households in approximately 4 weeks.
Ooh. I mean
that's kind of just those crazy numbers you can't really picture anyway. But holy shit,
it was a good series. I plowed through it in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, the complaints I had were just like minor things, and I think they made the changes to make it a little bit more appealing to a general audience. But still pretty good. I think
that is the real test of whether something's a success or not, is whether someone who's invested in the series as you are
Yeah.
appreciates it.
Yeah, because I've read all the books, I've played all the games.
Yeah.
Um, anyway,
And we should just not talk about the Assassin's Creed film.
I forgot that even existed.
Yeah. You
There've been a
lucky
lot of
bean.
there've been a lot of bad game movies, game based
Yeah.
movies. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, product. We kind of deviated a bit from product placement, but
That's our wrap.
yeah, that is typically how it happens. We stayed on topic for a whole like 10, 15 minutes.
Clearly, I'm not trying hard enough.
Well, we've got 5 minutes left in the segment. Do we want to keep going with this? Can you think of any other product placements? Otherwise, we could
We'll go on to the second idea.
go on to the second
Fuck
idea.
it, it'll be a 50-minute first
God.
intro. No.
Well, that's why I'm hesitating, because I'm looking at the second topic and I'm like, we could talk about this for like 2 hours.
So much like Splinter Cell's gone into Rainbow Six, the first time I ever heard about John Wick was because John Wick is in Payday 2. And so is a guy called Rust, who's from a biker, American Biker Club TV show. There's Jimmy, who's from a film called Hardcore Henry. There's Ethan and someone else from a very popular YouTube channel. They've got a lot of characters from a lot of different places.
What sounds like it. But again, I think Payday also, it falls into that sort of live service where you're jumping into a match and you play through a match, but it's all self-contained. There's not really, from what I've seen from the outside, because I haven't played it, is that there isn't really much of a story, or if there is, it's kind of a background presence.
Well, you know that idea we have for the third segment?
Yes.
Well, that's...
Because
okay. I wasn't aware. Like you're saying, I was only aware of like a vague story plot, and then one day, about a month or two back, I was like, there's a video on like the story of it. I might as well find out a bit more. And I was like, so much that I was missing. Because all the story in it is like, you can't just find a document in the world which explains this stuff. It's all like connecting this situation with this time frame, and if you look in a particular direction on a particular map at a particular time, there's a flash of something which helps with something else somewhere, and this massive like spider web of a story comes together.
There is like
It's crazy.
there's something to be said though about the kind of more subtle storytelling. Destiny
absolutely
did something like that when it first came out. You kind of got a feel for the story, but if you really wanted to know anything more detailed than the very surface level stuff, you had to read through all these like cards that would appear. You actually had to go onto Bungie's website and read these cards to figure out what the lore actually was. They got better with that in Destiny 2, but in the first one, the story was a very light presence.
Well, unlike in the first iteration of the game, just to get the final achievement, right, which is like the hardest level, you had to get a particular compass direction, and the compass direction was like a mosaic on a floor somewhere. Then you had to get a particular pattern, which was just on a generic carpet in a house somewhere. And then you had to go on this particular level. There needs to be a 4-man group if you're on a particular difficulty, and you all have to stand in particular places, facing particular directions, and hold that position without breaking into the cameras, and then you activate a alternate way to complete the mission, which takes a lot longer, and if you mess up the puzzle, then you lose an hour's worth of playtime, and only then can you possibly complete the last mission in Payday 1. Like, it is nutso.
So I mentioned this is like this is going again into Easter egg territory, and I'm pretty sure most people are listening are going to know this, but for reference, Easter eggs in video games are little hidden things that maybe are off or on canon that the developers have kind of hidden in the game. So talking about like finding a reference to, like you were talking about in Doom, where you go into a room and suddenly you're in the old 8-bit Doom, and it's like, oh right,
Yeah.
it's a reference to the old pixely Doom one. It's an
Throwback.
Easter egg for that. In what is it in that puzzle game that I liked? Oh, Talos Principle. In
Yep.
that game, there's a hidden area you can get to where you can play. Their other game was Serious Sam, which is a big, in the same vein as
Very
Doom.
different kind of game.
Yeah, Talos Principle is a more slow-paced, contemplative,
Yeah.
like
Kind of
puzzle-solving
sinister.
game.
Kind of sinister.
It does. It has a very dark undertone if you take the time to... That's another one that had a very subtle story that when you started to dig into it, you really started to notice, oh,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it. And it is a very dark story when you finally do get down to it and start to work out what's going on. But yeah, you find a little room with a couch and a copy of Serious Sam 3, one of their other games, playing, if you manage to make it into this little secret Easter egg area.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, the old... I remember on the PS2, I think it was, I used to play Ratchet and Clank 3.
Mm-hmm.
And if you... Back in the day when you had cheat mags, we would look through the cheat mag and there was this thing that was like, oh, there's actually a hidden demo in the game where in the menu, if you did a particular button combination, it would give you a demo for Sly Fox. Totally random, but it was really cool. And
that was that was another game they made. I remember that game. I never played it, but I know the game you're talking about. I'm just thinking back to there's other bits where it's kind of like less subtle when they're referencing things. So I think when the original Doom came out, or maybe it was the second one, you could find when one of the levels when you're in hell, you can find the corpse of Duke Nukem, like hanging, or a very Duke Nukem-esque looking character, like hanging from a hook, like.
Oof.
And it's it's just them not like mocking the other, it's just referencing the other game, which it's an interesting little thing, and if you like both games you'd be like, oh look, they're referencing this other game or something like that. Duke Nukem Forever, the one that took 13 years to come out, and when it did come out it was a pretty all over the place generic shooter.
Yeah, it's never appealed to me, that one.
There's a scene in the very beginning when you leave and there's a truck that's open and there's some very Halo-looking power armor in the back of the truck, and this one is not subtle at all because there's a guy standing next to it and he's like, "Sir, do you want your power armor?" And he's like, "Power armor? Power armor is for pussies." And then he moves on. That's my Duke Nukem impression, by the way. So
okay,
it's like just all subtlety out the window. Just like, hey, look, I referenced Halo and made fun of it. Laugh, you sheep. Anyway, I don't even know how we got here, but I think we're kind of coming up on the end. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts before we close out segment 1?
My final thought is I went into this segment with only a third of a cup of coffee, so I'm going to need another cup pretty soon.
Yeah, I ran out of tea. I was drinking... This is a very odd, set of beverages I have here. I have a glass of water, I had a glass of tea, and I was having almond milk.
Yeah. I've been drinking, I literally had 4 glasses of milk with my lunch today.
Okay,
well... it was... So, the first message I sent you today, which was just, my mouth is on fire?
Yes, I was wondering what that was about. I'm assuming you had something spicy for breakfast, or...
It was some insanely hot noodles that my brother got me. And... yeah, it was a new level. Every single time I took a bite, I had to take a drink of milk because it was just God, it was worse.
Right.
Also really tasty.
With that description of our beverage choices this morning, I think we're going to wrap up segment 1 there. thank you, everyone who has listened up till now. This is the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. You will hear us again momentarily for segment 2.